Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julie Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, Scorpio, if this is your sun sign and not your rising sign, which I do recommend you watch the horoscope for your rising sign, but if this is your sun sign, then your birthday is coming up fast. You're already in your yearly mop-up period as this month begins. That's the 30 days before your birthday. So you're already starting to feel your old year changing into your new one. Getting a birthday reading now positions you powerfully for your personal new year. You'll find a link to help you get it in the text that comes with this video. Well, October begins with Moon and Mercury activity, and it finishes with wonderful relationship stuff that you're definitely going to want to hear about. I want to start with the October 9th full moon, which happens right here in your 6th house. Full moons tend to bring a lot of intensity, emotional intensity. They bring high emotions. They can sometimes lead to conflict and argument because emotions are high. This one in particular is a moon in Aries, which does tend to be a little scrappy and temperamental, argumentative, perhaps we could say. It's conjunct Chiron, which brings in a particular sensitivity, and opposite to Venus and the Sun, which are trying to bring diplomacy and tact. So there's a real tug of war going on there. And I think that you're going to see this play out in the workplace. And that's because the moon and Chiron are sitting here in your 6th house. So beware of getting in arguments with coworkers during this moon, which is happening on the 9th. And look for help to Saturn, which can, the help can come from the greater structure that you're inside of. The social relationships and the social structure of your workplace may actually provide the help and the grounding that you need to smooth any ruffled feathers that might arise. You can find out more about this moon on our October 2022 news playlist. But right now, I want to turn to Julia, who has things to say about Mercury.
Oh, yes. Hey there, Scorpio. Well, I've got good news because on the 2nd, Mercury finally goes direct. It's done a whole retrograde cycle last month, causing miscommunications, technical snafus along the way. This whole cycle took place in your 11th house of friends. Also, it rules groups too. So this may have been a time of increased miscommunications, misunderstandings with your buddies, or even any groups you're a part of, like unions, societies, clubs, recovery programs, things of that nature. So Mercury goes direct all in the 11th house on the 2nd. And then by October 10th, Mercury is going to hop into your 12th house. This house is very, very isolated. And Mercury represents your mind. So when Mercury goes into the 12th, you may have had, the past month or so, you may have been, more social, busy time connecting with other people. Mercury in the 12th is a time where you really just want to spend time thinking on your own a little bit more. It's probably wise during this cycle, if people are pressing you for an opinion or a decision on something right away, to say, look, give me a little time to think about it. Go on your own a little bit. And you might hit your best ideas that way, instead of just having to do it all out in the front, all out in the open in front of people. Then by October 29th, the very end of the month, Mercury's going to go into your 1st house of self. And when Mercury is in the 1st, it's a time where you can be better understood by other people. Mercury in the 1st is a great time to articulate yourself and really get your point across to others, which will be so nice after having dealt with this whole retrograde cycle of misunderstandings. Yeah. And then Mars, our friend who represents action and activity, Mars has been in Gemini for a while, for a couple of months, and now Mars is really beginning to slow down throughout the month in the sign of Gemini. And guess what? On the 30th, the very end of the month, Mars is going retrograde in Gemini, and this is all taking place in your 8th house. Mars goes retrograde about once every 2 years, not as often as Mercury. So they're pretty significant time periods. So when Mars goes retrograde, this can be a time of really increased frustrations and conflict, as well as having to redo some actions in your life as well, because Mars represents actions and retrograde times are times of redoing. So in the 8th house, you know, these challenges, these frustrations, these conflicts could come up over money. The 8th house represents shared money in your life, as well as money that you earn through mortgages, investments, banks, taxes, all of that kind of stuff. And the 8th house is also a house of research and investigation. So you might, if there's something in your life you're researching and investigating, you might hit some frustrations. You might have to go back over your work there. Then finally, we're going to start talking about relationships, because I have a few things to say about Venus. Venus begins the month in your 12th house. Again, that's the house of isolation. It's got a strong spiritual and very charitable vibe to it as well. Venus in the 12th is not the most social time in people's life. They tend to enjoy spending more time on their own, or at least in a place that's kind of isolated. You know, it could be a good time for a retreat, for example, or just going camping by yourself out into the wilderness where there's not a lot of people around. Now, on the 22nd, Venus conjoins the sun exactly. She's very strong in her sign of Libra, and she's conjoined the sun while also moving direct too. So all that technical babble is to say that this is really a relationship rapture day, where people can feel like they're kind of progressing and sort of moving forward in their relationships. Now, in the 12th house, you know, when Venus comes into the 12th, sometimes it's a time where our partner or some friend in our life, if we're single, might be going through a bit of a hard time, might really, really need some help. And you can really be of service to them in a way that makes your relationship stronger and deeper and more meaningful too. So there is a lot of progress coming. Maybe there's a little bit of you know, a little minor crisis your partner is going through, and then it really kind of helps move the relationship forward and make it stronger. And then on October 23rd, Venus will enter your first house of self. And this is a wonderful transit if you're single, to get out there and meet somebody new. It's also a wonderful time for really looking a lot better too. Venus in the first is a wonderful time to beautify your appearance, like get your hair done, go shopping for a new outfit, and you'll be looking really hot for Halloween, which will be down the line too, which is fun. And I know that there's also more stuff about relationships coming at you this month. And Jamie has some things to say about Juno as well as eclipse.
Yes, that's right. And let's also notice that a seasonal change has happened here. The Sun and Venus move together into Scorpio, your first house. And so it's a shift from the season of love and relating in Libra, and towards the season of a deepening of intimacy, which is Scorpio, and that will go on for another 30 days. I like to say that wherever the sun, whatever house the sun is passing through, is a really great place to shine the sunlight of your high quality attention. And with the sun moving into the first house, well, this is basically symbolic of your impending birthday, and that it's time to accept all the high quality attention that you can gather to yourself right now. It's fine to like be noticed, be shiny. Stand out from the crowd. Now, that might not be so comfortable for you, Scorpio. Absolutely not. Vulnerability is a difficult thing to feel, and you might feel like a target. But I'm thinking with Venus here in proximity to the sun, that your birthday this year might have a special added sweetness. And so, yeah, accept some attention. You deserve it. So then as we continue along, we can see that Juno, which of course has been retrograde since July, and we've talked about it a lot in these horoscopes as it's been going along. And there's a video about Juno retrograde in our July 2022 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. But Juno has put us through a relationship retrospection period. And for you, this has fallen in your fifth house. So it's largely been about asking yourself, do I play well with my partner? Does my partner play well with me? Do we have fun together? Can we relax together? Are they a playmate in addition to being, a spouse or a co-parent? Do we have fun? Do we have fun with our kids? And you might feel during Juno retrograde that this assumes a deeper meaning for you, even. So as Juno retrograde draws to a close, which happens here on October 23rd, there you can see the little red RX is gone because Juno is now direct. You can feel that this relationship retrospection can come to a closure. And as Juno very, very slowly moves on and begins to speed up, it will take a couple of weeks for that closure to really come about. So it's not going to happen instantly, but there's such a wonderful feeling here of just being able to let go of some of the painful things that might have happened in the last couple of months in your relationship. And really, where that happens the most powerfully is on the eclipse right here with the sun and the moon together in Scorpio, and Venus very close by as well here in your first house. So you might feel this eclipse quite intensely, rather personally. And eclipses show us our shadow. And so if you do feel this eclipse personally and like it's highly emotional and deeply personal, I think it's really important to watch your behavior during this eclipse. But I do want to say that there are a lot of positive aspects to this eclipse, which is to say that Juno over here, which has just recently started to go direct, trines the sun, the moon, and also Venus, which is hanging out here with the sun and moon. This is an eclipse that promises profound intimacy, new beginnings in relationship particularly, and that could spell a new love. Although if it seems to, I would be very cautious about jumping into it too quickly. Venus and Scorpio can cross boundaries pretty fast sometimes. But if it's a sort of a resurrection or a rebirth of a relationship that you've been in for some time, then I would say that this eclipse could promise has wonderful promise. We're calling this eclipse confessions, acceptance, and healing. And that is the promise of this eclipse. And you may feel that it's personal. It may feel like it touches you in a very deep way. So here's my warning. If there is anything that you feel that you need to confess to your partner, do not do it during the moon at the beginning of the month, the full moon in Aries on October 9th. Don't do it then. And if you feel moved to do it then, stop yourself and question why you felt moved to do that, because it might have been selfish reasons. And instead, hold off until you get to this solar eclipse and do it then. And do it with all the love that you can muster. The outcome is likely to be a lot better. All right, that's what we have for you today, Scorpio. You can always find your horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscopes tab. If anything in this horoscope makes you want a reading, you can find the readings tab where you can get a reading and actually get into the schedule for a reading with me or Julia. And if you're interested in classes, those are available on our website too. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.